So there's only one item now on the Board of Adjustment that has to be for your consideration, which is a variance request to construct a vertical retaining wall along the shoreline of a man-made canal and to include maintenance dredging with the fill being placed behind the retaining wall within the critical habitat zone. Property is located at State Road 370, Mardi Gras Way, on property known as number 3 Mardi Gras Way, also known as Lot 34, Unit 1, Holiday Beach subdivision in the county. Request is being submitted by Terry Carter of Florida Environmental and Land Services as agent for the homeowner, Brent and Christine Burke.
And I think this is consistent with what that is, what it is, gentlemen. It sits on a canal, and they're trying to just reinforce their,
And the DEP permit has
okay, they have the permit.
yes.
Motion to approve.
Motion second on, yes, sir. You come forward.
Dan Tonsmeyer with Apalachicola Riverkeeper. I think I reviewed the DEP permit for this, and it appeared to me that they're not only building in the critical shoreline area, but the dock that they're building is also having a stairway and then some sort of deck down in it. Is this the same thing?
We don't have anything on the dock, Dan.
Okay, well, what I was looking at was a DEP permit, but I didn't understand what you said, Michael. Are they building something in the critical shoreline?
They said the fill is going to be placed behind the retaining wall, which is within the critical habitat zone.
The field,
That's just the fill.
down that canal there.
Okay, so the retaining wall is in the marsh or in the critical shoreline? Is that the only thing that's in the?
Well, I can tell you this, Dan, the fill is being placed behind the retaining wall, which would then put it in the critical habitat zone. I can't tell you exactly where the wall is. I can go and check with
It's right
staff.
here, Mike.
There,
Oh, I'm sorry, the map is there, I'm sorry, you're right.
yeah, there's a boardwalk leading it to the canal.
Yeah, if you put a retaining wall, Dan, you gotta stabilize that, putting fill behind it, it's all one structure.
The retaining wall is not on the edge of the canal, it is back off of the canal. You know, it looks like you got a boardwalk or a dock going to the canal, I guess where they can access their boat, which is typically done in.
Okay.
Oh, yes, okay.
Okay, so the retaining wall and the fill are the two things that are going in the critical shoreline ordinance or in the critical shoreline area.
There would be the two things that need a variance, yes.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about is the variance to that.
For that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
All
so
right.
here, this was in May. I should see that you gave this to me in May for consideration to construct a single-family private dock.
No, ma'am, I'm sorry, that's for planning and zoning, which we'll get to in a second.
Okay.
I'm still, yeah, I do apologize, I want to get that to you ahead of time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have a second, a motion on the floor, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right, Michael.
Okay, what I handed out to you was planning and zoning items that were not, at the last meeting, we covered this, but we didn't cover items 6 and 7 because I think Ms. Peppers was the agent and she wasn't able to attend at the last meeting, so she preferred that we moved it to this meeting. And, which is number 6 on that list. It says a consideration, both things were unanimously approved, consideration of a request to construct a single-family private dock at 2800 US Highway 98 East, Lot 26, Driftwood. It's in St. James. They have the state permits and they meet local requirements, contingent on receiving the Army Corps of Engineers permit. The walkway will be 200 by 4 with rope handrails and a 10 by 12 terminal platform with a 12 by 4 walkway. There's a 12 by 2 catwalk, creating a 12 by 14 uncovered boat lift. The request is submitted by Ms. Peppers. She's the agent for Brian Hearn, the applicant. That I need approval for from the board.
Need a motion?
On this, the 2800 US Highway 98, that's one of those St. Joe lots, isn't it, Elva? Is it one of those St. Joe lots out there like you're going to St. James Bay? Over on the, come forward
Come
if you don't
forward, Alva,
mind.
right there, please.
It's going across, it's going across marsh grass, marsh sawgrass and stuff?
There's not a lot of, there's seagrass, if that's what you're talking about. There's not a lot of marsh grass on the shore.
Okay,
Just bottom grass.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah. Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And now I think I understand what Commissioner Sanders was trying to say, because now item number 7,
That's what I was saying.
yes, now I understand exactly what you're heading at. Item number 7 is consideration of request to construct a single-family private dock at number 3, Mardi Gras Way, Lot 34, Holiday Beach, Unit 1, Alligator Point. They have the state permits and meet local requirements contingent upon receiving the Corps' engineer permit. It's a walkway, 34 by 5, with a 10 by 5 catwalk. Also, there's also a request to excavate 822 square feet of existing canal not greater than 3 feet in depth to create a 10 by 20 boat slip. This also submitted by Ms. Elva Peppers for Brent Burke, the applicant.
And the co-
Now, that's the dock that it's showing going across, from the retaining wall out to the canal?
In the
That's on
drawings
same
for
piece of
the,
property?
yes, in your drawings there for the variance.
Let me get back to my drawing here.
Yeah, that's on, yes, that's in the packet right there. The variance packet.
Okay, it shows where the excavation's going, then it shows a dock going out to the canal, I guess where you can access your boat.
But-
Just to make sure.
It's coming off the retaining wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's the retaining wall.
822 feet. Square
Yes,
feet
that's
that
the
they're gonna
dock.
be excavating. That means they're gonna be digging.
It's on the,
Dig it
get the
out.
agenda packet there.
3 feet.
Elva, tell me the reason why this is being done like this.
Well, on the agenda packet, I think you have this drawing, the aerial. And if you notice, we're at the awkward end of the canal where everyone's gotta have access. So in order to get the dock out far enough where it won't interfere with the next door neighbor to the east, to allow a dock there, they don't have a dock already. And also, this end of the canal has got, is kind of filled in a little bit, so that's what the purpose is of the dredging. But they're only doing just the slip. They're not gonna dredge any more than what's required to have the actual slip.
Do
Does
we
that answer
happen to
your
have this
question?
map that she's?
I had it, but I done messed something up there. Get back. It's in some of the board adjustment.
This, Mike, you want
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I didn't see it.
I'm not sure what page it is.
Right there.
Right here, sir.
Is this one?
Yeah, that's it.
That's what we were looking for?
That's it. Let me get back up here and look at mine.
We'll find this on the top.
Okay. Okay, I see it now. Yeah, I got it.
That'll be page 100 on your iPad. Thank you. I mean, I don't have any question about it other than I just want to know why it was being excavated like that, so.
I mean, it's a private canal, the property owns, well, it's nothing that we own, it's private canal, it's not private.
So they're
Mhm.
digging out some of the landward side of it to
Well, it's in the canal itself, but they're digging out an area for the boats that rest. It has silted in, not sure what years the canal's been there.
They digging it to get that boat up in that slip, because it's all shallow out there in the edge of it. When you go
Right.
up in that basement right there, she's trying to get that boat in that slip. It's shallow down there.
If you can see, it's got docks all along that canal, so.
There's
I'm
docks all over the place.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion to second on the floor. Yes, sir.
Dan Tonsmeyer with Apalachicola River Keepers. This was the issue I thought I was speaking to before. So they're actually dredging into the marsh here. It appears 15 to 20 feet back into the marsh and going to excavate that. And I don't think that's allowed by our county ordinances in terms of protecting the wetland vegetation. I mean, I understand what they're trying to do is dig a boat slip, but if they do this here, then all these lots along the canal, are they going to be able to dig out the marsh there?
Some of them has, I think.
Pardon me?
I said, some of them probably has. One looks over here on to your, if you're looking at it, looks like somebody's done something way down here, over here.
Right, well, I mean, I think it can.
Let's
it-
ask Elva.
Oh, sure.
Elva,
Yeah. here's
have
the
you got
area.
your permits from DEP and all?
Yes, we do have, this is the DEP
To
permit.
excavate 822 square feet
Yeah,
to dig up the marsh?
yeah, right there. I mean, we reduced it as much as we could. And all this marsh will remain, Dan. We just did the minimum that would be required to actually park the boat. And without this, they won't be able to fit a boat there. I mean, it's impossible.
So, I mean, I get that. The whole canal was dredged at one time, but I think what I'm concerned about is just dredging right into the marsh that is there now. I mean, I could put a dock out in front of my house and dredge in 100 feet, and I could have me a boat out front, but I'm not doing that. So I'm concerned about the precedent here,
The
Alan.
difference is that's a private canal, you're on a private canal, that was a private canal dredge.
It's a private
that-
canal.
That, we don't allow you to alter the natural shoreline, and I'm saying that shoreline, where that canal was not natural, that was a man-made canal. I understand what you're saying, I don't want to see any more dredging than necessary either, but I think
That's right.
there's an exception for man-made canals that, I mean, they have ability to maintain them, I think. And otherwise, eventually, the whole canal become a marsh, I mean, if you don't maintain the thing. And that's what she's trying to do, is maintain it for a boat access. And we're
Well,
not
that-
creating anything new, we're just going to maintain it, I think.
Well, DEP would have given the permits if they didn't.
Well, DEP probably says it's a private canal, and
Yeah.
therefore they're not reviewing it.
Well, I won't go there. All right. Well, you know, I would just suggest reconsidering that the precedent there, if there's some way that she can get the boat slip that she needs without getting into the marsh, it appears from that photo that there are other places there that have boats that have made access or made accommodations for their boat without having to dredge the marsh.
And no objections?
You won't know that.
Huh?
No exception that I know of.
No
Yeah, I would
objections?
prefer that too, I don't know if that's possible or not.
I don't know either.
No, I don't know either, because the way it's, looks like they're sitting more or less like on a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On cul-de-sac.
And if you try to, say, put a dock out there and access the water, well, then you're blocking this person's access and you're blocking that you see what I'm saying, Dan? They're in there like this on the end of that canal, and there's no way to put a dock out there without blocking other people's access to the water.
Then a horseshoe.
And if they throw a bunch of docks from all these different angles, then nobody's gonna access the water. So I understand what you're saying, and I agree with that.
I do
Uh,
too.
But under this particular circumstance, it's like they're in there on a cul-de-sac at the end of that.
Right. Well, I mean,
Now, everybody else up and down the canal has access directly from their property, Jake, right out in front of their property. They have access. So in this particular instance, they got like 3 or 4 lots coming in around the end of that thing, and it's making it more difficult for them to have the same access as the other people that are on the straight part of the canal.
right, and it becomes pie-shaped, but
Yeah.
if they could reorient instead of having that finger pier going off the side, put it out at the end and dock the boat sideways rather than having it straight in.
Well, it looks like to me, seeing the actual picture, if you saw the actual picture of the canal right here,
I was just looking at that with,
but
Eva,
the actual
Eva.
picture, if he doesn't do it that way, it looks like he wouldn't be able to even get out of there with a boat. But I don't believe, well, I'm not good there either. But, anyway,
Private, huh?
okay.
It's private.
it's private.
They can do it like they want.
That's why I said it's private.
Okay. Thank you.
But I concur with you, Dan.
Me too.
I have a motion, a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Like, I'll sit down now, Commissioner. Causing enough trouble already.
Only for a minute.
Let me see where I'm at. See, I done got confused. Marshall, Miss Marshall Johnson?
I think I can go from here. I'm just requesting you schedule budget workshops. So I'm asking that you set one beginning at 1:30 on the 19th of July, which your regular meeting will be that morning. And I've just asked if you'd come that afternoon, starting at 1:30. And then the following day, on the 20th, all day, starting at 9 o'clock until we get finished.
So move. If ain't nobody.
Second.
Everybody fine with that? You fine with that, Mr. Watson?
Yes.
All right.
May have to take a break though, because I get tired when we have a long meeting in here. I'm getting older, I guess. And then we have to do something in the afternoon.
We'll take care of you, Mama.
Would y'all rather it start at 2 instead of 1:30?
No, let's go ahead and knock it on out and get on through with it. Well, you know, it just, I'm getting older.
Okay, we're gonna do it on the 19th or the 20th?
Does that need to be done by motion or what?
Yeah.
There was a motion second.
Yeah, I done got a motion in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
welcome.
Mr. Allen Pierce?
Good morning. We've already done item number 1 on my report. Item number 2, inform the board that Mr. Brian Mims, aide to Senator Rubio, contacted Commissioner Watson and advised him that federal agencies are now developing their budgets for next year, so it would be a good time to write a letter to the U.S. Corps of Engineers and request funding for the East Point Channel. I called Mr. Whalen, registered U.S. Corps of Engineer in Panama City, who has been supervising all the dredging in Franklin County for a number of years, at least that office has, to advise him of the senator's office has asked us to write a letter. Mr. Register informed me that the Corps of Engineers has already put the East Point Channel into their budget for next year. Mr. Register said that even though the Corps has put the dredging in their budget, a letter of the kind Senator Rubio requested would not hurt. So board action to write Colonel James A. DeLapp, District Commander of Mobile District, which is the district we're in, stating the board supports the Corps' budget, which includes the East Point Channel, with copies to our federal delegation.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Question,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
can we send one about the Appalachian Channel too?
Well, I'm gonna get to that next. We have, the Corps has been down here, and Commissioner Lockley's, the first step, and the Corps is gonna do this within their existing budget. They told myself, and I believe that Commissioner Parrish was there, they can, the first step to get anything done dredging-wise is to get a permit. And the Corps said that the permit to get 2 Mile Channel does not need any additional money, because they thought they could do it in their additional budget, and they would do it this year, because all they have to do is re-permit the spoil disposal area. It's not open water disposal, it's not a new disposal area, it's just re-permitting the existing one. And so they told me, and Commissioner Parrish, you might know,
They did.
they thought they could do it within their budget.
So they're gonna go ahead and get the permit?
Yes.
And then we'll look for funding after?
Yes, that's
Once
correct.
we get that permit in hand?
Yes.
One in East Point, we already have the permit?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And the one in East Point took a lot longer because we were doing open water disposal, and it took all kind of environmental review.
That's right.
Well, what I'm doing is, question, what I'm doing is just keeping it on the radar.
Yes, yes, yes.
Me too.
Well, I'd rather have 2 letters though, because East Point, basically the letter about East Point Channel is in the budget, and we're using that as reinforcement. The one with the, with 2 Mile Channel, we know they haven't got the permit, so I know what the response is gonna be. They're gonna be, Corps is gonna say, well, as soon as we get the permit, we'll look for funding for the channel. I mean, we have to.
Yeah, we got our permits and all for East Point.
Yeah,
They're saying they have the money for East Point, and they got the permit for East Point, let's move forward with East
Yes.
Point.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, we'll move forward, yeah.
All right, so item number 3,
We're on
I'm
that.
sorry. Did we vote? I don't.
That's how we do.
Okay. Number 3, it is always possible the Corps budget is not fully funded, or the federal government gets into a protracted budget stalemate as it did several years ago. So it is proper for the board to continue to seek backup funding for East Point through the efforts that Dewberry is making. And here, Commissioner Lockley, Dewberry is also seeking funding for the 2 Mile Channel. And after speaking with Mrs. Register of the Corps, I called Dewberry, reminding them that the budget for the 2 Mile Channel needs to include some $250,000 for rehabilitation of the spoil disposal areas. The disposal areas don't have to be re-permitted, but they do need to be dug out, and exterior walls need to be rebuilt. So in the budget that Dewberry is creating, in the event we can get funding from the and the Gulf Environmental Benefit, they will put enough money in there to rebuild the spoil disposal areas. On this matter of Dewberry applying for projects through the Gulf Environmental Budget, which is what they talked about last meeting, does the board have any other project it wants to submit? In the agreement that Dewberry's drafted up, it's about $1,700 or $2,000 per application. And so we're going to do the 2 dredging channels, those 2 projects. They had discussed last time, I believe, about artificial reefs, but there was no action by the board. Any artificial reef project would be a regional project with Wakulla and Gulf counties in it, if you all want to do that, or there are other projects that you all want to consider.
You talking about the artificial reef?
Yeah, because Wakulla County is looking at doing artificial reefs looking at making an application with Dewberry for artificial reefs off Wakulla County. And so Dewberry called and said, do you want to consider that? Do you want to put your name in the hat with Wakulla County as doing some artificial reefs? To build some reefs.
In Wakulla County?
In Wakulla and Franklin County.
Franklin, Wakulla, they got them in Wakulla, they gonna let us fund over, try to get some in Franklin.
Well, I've had, if I'm right, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I've had several guide fishermen or whatever asking me about artificial reefs. My only concern with artificial reefs is that we don't put it in a prime shrimping habitat area. I know they have them in Panama City, they have them in Destin, Fort Walton, but those are not prime areas that people trawl for shrimp. This area is, and I'm not saying there's areas out there probably that they don't trawl for shrimp, which would be appropriate to put an artificial reef, or if there's areas out there that is a rock pile where they're not going to shrimp, it would be a place to add additional
Structure out there.
structure to create an even better reef. I mean, I don't have no problem with all that, but I just don't want all the shrimpers up and down the coast down here blasting us because we put something right in the middle of where they normally shrimp at every summer.
Yeah, 'cause about 2 o'clock in the morning, they about like to kill you. When you catch you.
So, I think we need to do some look for a spot where we could actually do it at Allen and do it feasibly and working together with everybody, the fishing community as well as the shrimping community, and that would be beneficial for all involved.
Or just a caveat, we tell Dewberry, look, we will support artificial reefs so long as they do not interfere with shrimping ground.
As long as they in the rock areas.
Navigation.
As long as they in the rock areas, not in the navigation of shrimp.
Because I know and I don't know the process at all, but I know there's a process you go through to get a site approved for an artificial reef. I mean, you have to go out there and document the habitat, and I mean, there's a number of
Right,
steps.
and we have the old bridge that they tore down.
Right,
and
that's an
made a reef,
example.
but it's so far
Out, yeah.
out, and it's kind of between Appalachian and Carabel, if I'm not mistaken, kind of
It
stretched
is.
out that
Yeah.
way. And I think what people are more or less wanting is something maybe closer over this way, or like Cape, towards Cape or something like that, kind of in that area. We got one this way and we got one straight out, I think. I think we're talking about more to the west. But I'm not sure, it depends on who you talk to.
Got some down to the east, some,
Everybody.
it pretty much scattered, some off of, Dewey's Channel, there's some off of Dog Island to the,
And they're talking about doing some more in
yeah,
Wakulla County.
talking about doing some more in
And we got
Wakulla.
the old bridge out there.
Got
that
the
they
old
put out
bridge,
there.
and we got one down to the southwest down here.
Well, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh, I know, I shrimp my whole life.
Right, so I don't want to get into all that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I have a question and a comment. If we put the artificial reef request in, that's a $2,000 fee, is that?
Well, I don't know, because it would be a regional request, because Wakulla County is doing it, so whether we would be charged a whole separate thing or pro rata share, I don't know yet.
Well, my comment is that I think these funds are looked at more favorably with regional projects, and so I would support going after the artificial reef with the proviso that.
So it would be
Mr. Parrish
one
has
permit, one application, but it would be a couple of different reefs between the two counties?
That's
or
my
something?
understanding, one regional application for a couple of counties to do artificial reefs.
So that probably gonna cost $1,000 a piece then. We split the cost, we split the
Yeah.
benefit,
It certainly
which
could.
reduces that from 2,000 to 1,000, I'm saying, if it was done under one
Yes,
application.
I hope so, I hope that's the case.
Why don't you, I'll make a motion that you get with Dewberry and get the specifics of how this thing would work and bring it
Okay.
back to us at the next board meeting. I'd like
I'll
to make that
second that.
motion.
Okay.
Second it.
Have a motion second on the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I just want to add something in there. This is one of the things, when Brian from Dewberry came last time. You got Gulf, Franklin, Wakulla County, all has Dewberry. And this is what I want to see. I want to see the big picture of the regional design that's going to benefit all three counties. And in that way, we'll know what Wakulla's doing, they'll know what we're doing, know what Gulf's doing, and they'll know what we're doing. And that way, we can kind of plan ahead. But with all these bits and pieces here and there, you don't know what they're doing, you know, so.
Yeah.
When Dewberry was here, correct me, Commissioner, didn't they say they needed this information by the first week of July?
Yeah.
Right, well, our next meeting is July 5th. That's the first week as far as I'm concerned.
Oh. Okay.
But I don't know, I mean, yeah.
Well, question,
Well,
That's what concerns
Let
us.
me rephrase the motion, let's just do the motion, contingent upon,
protecting shrimping grounds.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And my motion would also include, if it's a joint application between the two counties, it's gonna cost us $1,000 apiece if it's board's pleasure, and just reiterate that so that we have to move forward quicker we can before the next meeting.
Okay.
question.
I think
Yes, sir.
everybody's pretty much on board with that, and that'd be my motion.
I'll second that.
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't-
Now, what we got is, like Sheriff, like Ms. Sanders said, Commissioner Sanders said, we got 3 counties, but you just listing 2 counties. What the third county, I mean, that's not
Gulf County
regional.
may be wanting to do something.
Gulf County might be wanting to do it also. We'll
Yeah,
call
that's
Gulf
what-
and Franklin
that's
are the
what-
3 counties.
Well, I wanna know, yeah, that, I wanna make sure it's a regional approach.
Yes,
If we're
okay.
gonna go with that, it's gonna be 3 if it's regional,
We're
right?
having our county meeting today, probably on the same thing we doing this, so we'll know.
I know Wakulla County, because I know about Wakulla County. I've talked to Sheree. I just had not had.
They had theirs last week, they passed their briefs last week.
Yeah, I wanna make sure that
Okay.
until they don't have something different.
I understand.
All be on the same page.
Yeah.
I feel fairly sure Gulf County will support artificial reefs, but
I think
Because
so
it's,
too.
it's a lot of rocks on that end. Over here, where Mr. Parrish talking about, all our shrimping grounds from, Steenahatchee on up to about to the, St. Joe Buoy.
And if Gulf County wanted to do it and we could strategically place it where it would be accessible, about the same ways from Gulf County to the reef as it is from Franklin to the reef, then, we just do one reef on this end of the region. And then Wakulla's gonna do one over there, and then we got the old bridge out here, so I mean,
Okay.
you understand what we're
Yeah,
saying now,
yeah.
and if we need to move forward and split the cost of that joint application,
okay.
that was my motion. I think the board agrees with that.
Okay, so we have a motion to second, then I guess we need a vote
This
to.
motion is second.
All right, have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. All right, my next item is number 4. Inform the board that Mr. Dean Sanders, real estate agent, has submitted a request to the state for the purchase of 17,000 acres of land in Franklin County in a project titled the Bluffs of St. Teresa. The acquisition, if approved, would put into public ownership most of the vacant land between Ball Point State Park and Tate's Hell State Forest. The state acquisition process is long as there's a great deal of competition for state funds. This is on Friday. I spoke to Ms. Paul Allen in Division of State Lands. She said that if the project passes the first review, then Franklin County would be notified of the potential acquisition. And that did happen Friday. But Ms. Allen obviously hadn't gotten the letter out yet. The board has not received any direct notice of this project yet, but the news media has picked it up. That's why I mentioned to you all, and actually, Ms. Peppers is on the ARC committee, and I don't know what ARC stands for, but it's a committee that recommends
Acquisition,
projects. Okay.
Recreation.
And so it did pass. There were 4 other projects on the list. I guess 3 of the 4, there were 5 projects on the list. I think 4 of the 5 passed. I understand 1 got withdrawn. So we'll go to the next phase. So I think we will be getting a letter from the state. So I don't know we have to do anything right now because the review process is fairly lengthy. But it is a big acquisition. I will say that my assessment right now that it's a long shot, not because of value. The land has a great deal of environmental value, but the money is a big pot of money. Right. This year, the legislature appropriated $15 million. The proposed acquisition cost of this parcel of land, based on property values right now, is $25 million. So the state of Florida is going to have to double the amount of money for land acquisition. The legislature will, and I don't know whether they're going to do that or not. I don't know how long the list is. We don't know how high this is going to be ranked. I mean, people are real excited about the prospects, and I don't want to diminish what this means to the county, good and bad. But I don't know whether we're anywhere near the acquisition level or not.
Well, and I want to make a couple of comments, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, just a couple, since it's in my area. First of all, I knew this gentleman, Mr. Dean Saunders, not Sanders.
Sorry.
Thank you. But anyway, we're selling this land because somebody approached me, that the sign's been up there for months up there. But always in the past, when we've had land to be sold to the state in Franklin County, before they even start with the ARC level, they always come to the Board of County Commissioners or someone who's in that area and let them know, this completely slipped underneath the radar, and I don't know who's pushing or anything, but we need to find out. It's not whether I'm for it or against it, because this will bring, and this is what concerns me, I want to see a management plan for it. What do you intend to do? Because now this land has always been, since St. Joe pulled out of here, I'm talking about St. Joe Timber Company, it has always been in hunting leases. And nobody's ever had access to it since then because of that. I really want to see the plan, but I'm concerned that they would move ahead without contacting the county to start with. Since we only have like 12% to 15% private ownership on land left in Franklin County, it concerns me deeply. But it's gonna all tell on what the best management practices are gonna be for this property.
Yeah, it is, and we don't know, I don't have any idea who would manage it. I
That's
don't know
what I'm
when that
saying.
decision will be made.
Because you've got Tate's Hell, who supports the traditional uses, but then you got Ball Point, and they're more the coastal thing. And the big question is, if this happens, where does that put us in respect to, and then Mr. Shearer knows I'm asking this question, where does this put us in respect to all these other things that we're dealing with St. Joe Company on the proposed or the maybe possible Burt Harris Act? So, I mean, you know, the state needs to find out all this stuff before they go in there and they say this and that and the other. It's not as simple as what it looks, especially for this tract of land over here in the eastern part of the county. 17,000 acres, there's been a lot of stuff happening with that. And I think it's very apparent that we have not been told anything, the local government, so I think it's time that before we move ahead on it, or we need to ask the right question.
So wasn't FWC managing that land right now? I'm talking about guarding it or watching it?
I don't know, it's in hunting leases is all I
Mr.
know.
Chairman, I think that is the parcel that the Mormon Church bought.
Right now, when the Mormon Church bought it, it is, and I checked the property, it's
Deseret?
owned by, it's not Deseret Ranch, no, the Mormon Church bought it and they titled it under a different corporation, actually, I have it on my, I did.
Desiree.
It's not Deseret,
All right, FWC doing the one across the street where the houses is at, and they watching it.
it's titled, Ocklawackee Timberlands, but the address is Salt Lake City. So it is a subsidiary, but it's not Deseret Ranches. Deseret Ranches was the entity that they put the
But
land
Desiree's in Central
that they
Florida.
want to hold all their properties. This they never intended. So what I did, just to demonstrate how the world has changed, I'm gonna go back 25 years. This is what the county looked like 25 years ago as far as land ownership. And it's a significant, it's a real visual, powerful thing I want to show you all. So 25 years ago, you had St. Vincent, St. George Island, you had some eel lands here that were all wetlands on the edge of the river, and you had Apalachicola National Forest, that bit of it in Franklin County. Most Apalachicola National Forest up in Liberty County. Over a period of 25 years, there's been a lot of land acquisition in the county, and so this is what we had in public ownership 25 years ago. This is what we have today. Yes, it's very stunning, the amount of land in public ownership. And then if we add this 17,000 acres of land,
Add that to
it then
it.
fills in the space here. And so it has significant environmental value, but it has significant, economic impact to us also. I mean, basically what it does, if this gets acquired, then you will see only development on the east end of the county along the coastline. Well, that's good and bad, but I mean, whatever development pressure is going to occur in the east end of the county is going to be all on the shoreline and then circled around Carabel, Apalachicola, East Point, Apalachicola,
And the rest of it's off the tax roll.
and the rest all tax
So to provide the infrastructure and all the services to the people is paid by the few people that can live along the coast. I mean, in your two municipalities, that's it.
And those little spotted
The
places.
rest of it are non-taxpayers.
Right.
And then you,
it's a big
question
deal.
when you come up on budgets, which we're fixing to start doing, if you had if you had additional growth and development, you could spread that burden out more. Right now, it's all comprised of the few people that pay taxes in the county. So if you try to improve infrastructure or do anything else, well, the taxes got to go up because the burden is not gonna spread out. They own all the property in the county, but nobody's paying us no money for it.